Every day we come into work with an attitude that is, this is just another day, nothing exciting, nothing new. Well, this is what our way of thinking has come down to. We're not excited because it's just another day at work. Nothing new ever happens at work. Nothing exciting ever happens here. So what's to come of that? Well, nothing, right? Our thought pattern goes into this repeated cycle. Nonsense, really. Since this is another day at work, then nothing new or exciting will take place. Our brain feeds us this information again and again. Or perhaps it's the other way around. Perhaps your typical day at work is being overwhelmed with several tasks that are tough to handle alone. But that's how it is. So every day you come in thinking, another hard day at work, nothing new, nothing different. So our brain gets trapped in a repeated cycle of thoughts, combined with images once in a while. And what I mean by that is sometimes we daydream or imagine a situation playing out where we do the same thing as always. We don't imagine anything new or unique. It gets trapped in a circular loop and kept contained there. Therefore, you're not excited by what you see. Well, why is that? Why do we get stuck in this conundrum? Well, let's have a look into, the psychological processes of the mind from a metaphysical perspective that may have an impact on our everyday thinking. Well, thanks so much for coming onto our channel, Metaphysical Awakening. We love having you here, and we hope that the information we share on our website, which is metaphysicalawakening.com, and our channel here will in some way make you question about what's out there other than the physical concept that we are much aware of from our five physical senses. Well, what does that mean to go beyond those physical senses, you may ask? Well, for me, going beyond them means being more aware of who we are, because we're more than just our physical aspects. We are more than just the color of our eyes, the touch you feel from a person, or the physical senses you use to smell a cup of coffee or hear a baby's laughter. We are metaphysical too. We have innate abilities that many are not aware of, and I believe it's important to at least be somewhat aware of them, to open our minds up to the possibility that could be of benefit to not only our own personal lives, but of others, because our emotions and behavior affect others, our vibe affects others. So when we truly know how much of an impact we have on others just by standing next to them, the more aware we become of ourselves and others around us. So let's explore the metaphysical angle of different topics together. You can contact us directly from our website, which I'll leave a link of below, or email us at metaphysicalawakening@gmail.com for any questions you have regarding our consultations. We use our own abilities to gather information about you and about the situation around you. And with that information, it may allow your mind to grow and explore in this new and exciting area. So we wish you well and appreciate you stopping by. So getting trapped in this mind frame, doing the same thing every day and seeing the same thing every day is no fun. It's monotonous. So what can we do to break out of this mind frame? Well, a simple answer would probably be just doing something different to break out of your routine. But what can we do differently? Well, something as simple as cooking a meal for work that's new and unique in order to surprise your senses, or asking your workmate to start doing something different with you during your 10 to 15 minute breaks, such as running around the building or playing some sort of board game that allows you to take breaks in between and continue where you left off during your next break. Or maybe you can contact a friend or a family member who you hadn't spoken to in a while to see how they're doing, letting them know, of course, that You have to keep it short, but at least they got to hear from you. Or maybe use this time to check yourself, check your mental health, your physical health. A lot of times we can do that just by meditating in a quiet space, if you can find one. Another alternative could be singing in your car where no one can hear you. It can lift your mood and gives you a sense of release. It's certainly good for our mental health. Did you know that when you're humming to yourself, it usually means that you're in a good mood? Just wanted to throw that out there. So these are just a few ideas of what we can do to add a little spice in our everyday life, everyday work life, to enlighten the mood and break out of the continuous pattern we go about doing, which can be monotonous at work. I myself feel that being outside is essential. There are a variety of distractions out there that can get my mind out of this loop. Sometimes you just have to get out of where you are to put yourself in a different mind frame. Now, what does this have anything to do with what's metaphysical? Well, not much, because most of it has to do with how your brain works, which is like a well-oiled machine. But sometimes, like a well-oiled machine, it can malfunction at times. Many different mental or brain exercises are out there that can help us with many of those areas. But we can also incorporate some metaphysical exercises too to encourage better brain flow. So, okay, let's try this. Sit back, close your eyes, and take some deep breaths in the beginning. Gradually return to your normal breathing pattern. Now, as you're doing that, your mind should start calming down. Now, picture in your mind a place where you'd like to be, whether it was at your grandparents' house or outside in a park somewhere. Wherever it is, that gives you a sense of comfort. Now, feel into your surroundings using your heart energy. And for those who are new to this channel, simply visualize your heart flowing out, touching and bathing everything around you. Feel for what's around you. What I want you to feel for is something that's around you that gives you comfort. Is it your grandma's boxes of herbs, or your grandpa's rocking chair? Or is it a playground where you used to play, or the wildflowers blooming around you? Wherever you are, feel into what gives you the most comfort and take your time. If you need more time to yourself, pause the video here before you continue. Now, the reason for this exercise is to show how powerful a visualization technique is. Even more so how it is when you put your heart energy into it. Your heart energy can feel for things around you or even across the ocean. It has a way of picking up emotions and thoughts from an individual. Remember, we feel in our heart, therefore what we feel there is information too. You can sort of say that our heart is our second brain because it holds a lot of emotions there, which is another way of thinking. Think about it. Sometimes our emotions pick up before we even see what's going on or what's about to happen. It reacts fast. before our brain even registers what is happening. So yes, what we pick up here is just as important as here. We just need to have a better control of here because our emotions can get in the way or the better of us and can even exacerbate ongoing health issues or cause one. Now, how do you feel now after visualizing the place and feeling into your surroundings with your heart energy? Did you feel a sense of comfort? Did anything strange appear to you? Something out of place? Or were you able to identify which object or objects give you a sense of comfort and why? Whichever the case, this goes to show that a sense of self-discovery can take place in this type of activity. You may learn something you've never touched on before. Now, another technique that can be done right in your own home or office desk is something similar. So let's take a moment again to do another exercise. Now, sit back and relax. Let your mind wander. Don't think about anything specific, just let it go. Now stop. What was your very last thought? Is that thought in any way connected to your place of comfort in the previous exercise? Can you in some way link it to where you started out in the previous exercise? If so, think of what your first thought was and where it took you to at the end. The reason I ask this is to consider two things. One is if we have the capability of letting go of what we feel with our heart freely and openly. Two is if we have the tendency to let things go quite easily, meaning do we have the capability to shake things off quickly? If your thoughts wandered back to where your place of comfort was, then most likely you're very much heart-oriented and you feel things very deeply, so it's hard to let go of moments so easily. If you are able to think freely from one random thought to another without referring to your place of comfort, then you have the ability to break free from your train of thought. You're less likely to hold on to something for too long. Remember, before we went on to this activity, the second activity, I had spoken for a little bit, so we didn't exactly move from one activity to the next right away. Now, does that mean that a person who is more likely to hold on to something is better than the other person who is not? No, not at all. We can actually learn quite a bit from each other. In some way, balance each other if you think about it. Our heart has a way of capturing emotions as well as details. Therefore, it's hard for your brain to think otherwise. It wants to stay and reflect on what you saw and felt. The heart energy is very powerful. Now, if your mind was able to fall out of that trap, then you have the ability to go off and explore quite easily. Now, not many people can do that. So what's going on in the mind of those who have this ability? Well, let's have a look. So for those who can do this, have a tendency to let things go much faster and quicker than many of us can, which can be healthy for us. We'll be better able to let go of what doesn't serve us and move on with our life without being tormented by what had happened. Many of us would like this ability, right? Well, what I find that's going on in an individual who has this natural ability to do that seems to be skilled at creating a wall of energy between themselves and the situation or person. They're quite skillful at reflecting or bouncing off that energy of anger or guilt that never belonged to them in the first place. So instead of allowing those frequencies to rattle or disturb their own energy, they've put up a barrier and it doesn't reach or rattle their core. So they can walk away unharmed or unrattled emotionally. A technique that's hard to master, especially for those who are empathic. And many of us are empathic, even those you would never think to be, but they are. They may not show signs of it openly to everyone, but behind closed doors, they feel and express in some way what they have taken in from the world around them. Not everyone reacts the way you would expect them to, being empathic. Well, imagine yourself as a whiteboard. Okay, I know it sounds odd, but try it out. Now visualize yourself as a whiteboard standing up against someone who has something nasty to say. As you stand there, again, as a whiteboard, visualize the words just hitting the board, and once they hit the board, they just start sliding down. They can't seem to stick. They just keep sliding down. Now, as you leave, you shake yourself off and see the remaining words that have stuck fall all the way onto the floor. You feel okay, you feel just fine, and then you walk away. Now, return to the scene and you see the same angry person there. This time, the person wants to do something even worse, such as telling your friends about you, saying this and that, perhaps going to another group of people, saying this and that. Well, this time, visualize yourself as a punching bag. All the words, the rumors, the attitude, the behavior towards you hit you, and you take it. What do you feel now? A bit rattled, hurt. Of course, you've taken a beating. Your heart came out of the room with bumps and bruises. You see, in these two different scenarios, you can see how well you can take those hurtful words. However, in the second scenario, you'll come out bruised. Most times we take the punches and perhaps stand up for ourselves, but we still get hurt. Perhaps next time, we can simply stand up for ourselves by not letting them get to us. We can heal from our own bruises, but they can take years before they do. And in the meantime, we carry it with us, and who knows what kind of mental or physical distress they can cause to us. But if we're able to let their hurtful words slide right off of us and leave the room unhurt, how much better would that be? So if you find yourself in that situation, then guard and protect yourself. Use the visualization technique, portraying yourself as a whiteboard or a pillar of salt, because salt is high vibration too. It's really good for our energy and our health too. I actually gargle with Himalayan salt every day. But anyway, your energy will do the work it needs to do to protect oneself. It's the wonderful machinations of the mind that allows us to do this. Imagination is it's a very powerful tool. Protect your heart, shield yourself. Words have energy behind them, and that's why we get bruised from them once in a while. Now, remind me again why we got to this point. Well, okay, the inability for some of us to get out of the loop when it comes to our way of thinking, while for others, they can simply flow out of it. Well, the mind and the heart work well together, except for times when our emotions take us on a wild ride. But for the most part, they do work well together, and there are simple exercises we can do to break up the monotony in our everyday life. Why not take the time to do these exercises that we have done in this video? One, to discover the powerful the power of your heart energy that will take you on a self-discovery. And the other, to test out how well your brain can freely flow wherever it wants to go without being tied down by your heart. In this way, you strengthen one and the other to work separately when needed and work together also. The last visualization technique can prep you for a situation that may happen at work, home, in a convenience store, wherever. When it does happen, since you have been practicing, your immediate reaction is to turn into a whiteboard, for example. It's a form of defense. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up. I enjoy making them and sharing with you what I gather as I sit and ponder on these topics. Please subscribe if you haven't already. We really appreciate you coming by and taking the time to watch the videos. Thanks again so much for your support. So I hope you all have a beautiful day and enjoy taking some time out of your day to relax and, breathe in the fresh air. Be happy and be kind to yourself and others. Good vibes to you all. Take care, everyone. Bye.